When you're watching Murder on the Orient Express, I have to be honest, I felt like this movie was really the when this movie first came out. I'm talking about the 2017 version. There are two versions, both based on the book by Agatha Christie, who, I mean, the fact that she came up with this, is pretty cool. I like people who can make great detective books or novels, you know what I mean? Who can create real stories. I enjoy that. And particularly detective stories. I think, everybody talks about like Sherlock Holmes and then everybody talks about Batman. And it's just like, detective stories, it can get kind of all messed up and sometimes people like can figure it out or call it out or whatever's going on. And I thought that I was doing that in this movie, you know what I mean? I thought it was going to be a clear cut, like a pretty easy story. I didn't think it was going to be anything more than just like one killer or any of that stuff, which was great. I think I did a good job with this movie in particularly. I liked it because it was so, what's the right word? It was so not what I expected, or it was like it was really an ensemble cast was really needed for this. You know what I'm saying? It was so good. Both in the literal sense of the movie and in the narrative sense, in the actual story. But I'm getting ahead of myself here. I feel like everybody did a pretty good job in this movie. I won't say any one person was slacking. I just feel like there are certain actors, when you have like a huge ensemble cast like this, you can't help but be drawn in by their, I don't know, their actor or their kind of persona. I don't know, it's kind of difficult to overlook it, right? Like they have everybody's great in the movie, but sometimes when you see an actor that you have known them from like another role, it's kind of like hard to see them as anything other than that. I don't know. That's mostly me. Like when I see Johnny Depp on screen, I definitely think of Pirates of the Caribbean, or I think about Willy Wonka. I think that would be funny. I think about just kind of like him as an actor. I don't really see him as like this other character. And then you have Daisy Ridley, who's in the movie. She was in Star Wars, so I was just like, I'm just thinking of Rey from Star Wars. I was just like, she has an accent, and I was just kind of like, eh. Michelle Pfeiffer's in the movie. I thought she did really great. There's no role that I like really connect her to. I mean, I know she was Catwoman, but her costume design, the way that it's kind of like made to look at that time, it kind of covers her face and it kind of makes her like it really transforms her into Catwoman. You know what I'm saying? If that makes sense. Penelope Cruz is in the movie. Josh Gad. I guess Josh Gad was probably the one that I had the hardest time to see as another character. I may have said this about another actor before, but I'm probably not him. But when Josh Gad, there's certain people that when they come onto the screen, they don't embody like a new character. They just kind of seem like they just seem like their regular selves. And then they just kind of make it seem like they're another character, right? Like they make a new name, they give them the clothes, they tell them, all right, do this, and then that's the character. Like they don't go any deeper into it. You know what I'm saying? Who else is that? Willem Dafoe is in this movie. I was surprised by Willem Dafoe, and I was like, I thought for certain he was going to get killed. Because have you guys noticed that like in most of his movies, he just ends up dying? Like in the first John Wick movie, I was like, what a waste of potential. Like if they knew that John Wick was going to be like, they probably did know that John Wick was going to be like a franchise movie, but like for them to kill Willem Dafoe in the first movie so quickly, I was just like, he could have been there. Definitely should have been there for at least the second or third one, right? Like, you know what I mean? I felt like he definitely needed to be there, but Anyways, Leslie Odom Jr. was in the movie. I thought he did really well. Um, and it's interesting because he did this movie and he also did the Glass Onion movie with another detective. You know what I'm saying? He did another role there. But again, I feel like he was pushed to the sideline again, like he was in that movie. Like he didn't really get a chance to. Well, I guess everybody in this movie got a chance to stand out. And in the last movie, I don't know, dude. It just feels like everybody kind of has a motivation to kill, right? Like that's the suspense. That's what it's all about for these murder mysteries. But I thought Leslie Odom Jr. did great, and he does fantastic often. I think that I would like to see him in more musical movies, more of that kind of speed. But I think as acting wise, he did a great job in this movie, and I like that they made him a doctor. I thought that was kind of interesting. I was like, especially for the time period. I don't remember the exact time of this movie, but it was definitely in the. I don't know how far back actually. So maybe don't quote me on that, but I did enjoy that they made it like it's a historical movie and they have a black doctor, and I was just kind of like, oh, that's cool. Like that's interesting that they did that. I thought that was really neat that they had that happen. So maybe I should start off with what they also had Dame Judi Dench on. She was good too. How can I put this? The quote unquote like older people in the movie, they kind of, it's hard for them to get like big action moments or huge like standout performances, I guess I should say, right? Like it's hard for them to stand out because it's a lot more quote unquote, I don't know, difficult for them to like I wouldn't suspect that she was the killer because she's, old. And I was like, if she had the strength to fight back, like, or to move as quickly, then like, yeah, maybe. But no, it just seemed like, it seemed unfitting for it. Who else is in the movie? I think Olivia Colman's in this movie. Oh my gosh, she is in this movie. She was great. She did really good. There are so many other people, but Olivia Colman, she was also really great. I thought it was really nice to see her. It was like whoa, there she is. It's like, it's so cool. So I enjoyed her appearance. She did very well. What was I saying? Oh yeah, so when I was trying to guess who the killer was, obviously, in most murder mysteries, they kind of like, they try to give it to you right off the bat. They try to make it, I don't want to say somebody early on. It doesn't always have to be like the first person he interrogates or like the first person that like who witnesses the murders, but sometimes, you know what I mean? I think I get that trope a lot from like CSI Miami. It's like if you ever watch the show, spoilers, no, I don't want to spoil the show, but like often when you watch the show, they call somebody in, they're like, we have what's his name? LaRusso kind of looks at him and he's like, so we called you in here to talk about this death or this murder or such and such, right? And then they have like a little interrogation and then they go away. New evidence is found at the crime scene or new data test comes back and shows something else, right? And then they come back and they're like, we talked to you last time and you said you didn't know anything about blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? And then it's all circles back around to them inevitably being the killer. So it's like the first person they interrogate ends up being the killer, but they didn't get them the first time. They needed all the evidence. And then it just kind of breaks down how important like crime scene forensics and gathering evidence really is. But anyways, I had my suspicions early on about the train conductor or whoever the owner of the train was, the guy who was leading Hercule around. Whoever was like the guy who got him onto the train. He was like the one I was suspecting him. because he was like the first guy, and he was also really a nice guy throughout the whole movie. Like oftentimes, whenever the detective has like a friend or somebody like close to them, they're usually, I don't want to say always, but oftentimes it turns out that they're also the bad guy. They're like against him. So a murder happens on the train, and he just so happens to notice, and then he asks Hercule to solve the crime. You know what I'm saying? So I was just kind of like, maybe it's him, maybe it's not. I ruled him out because I was just like, if he was really the killer, he wouldn't have asked Hercule to suspect anybody or to like look into the crime. Just a simple stabbing, gone wrong, simple theft. But instead, he seeks out Hercule. So I was like, it's not him. And then there was some mystery between Daisy Ridley and Leslie Odom Jr., like kind of like a love affair, like that, a romantic spark between the two of them, you know what I'm saying? And so there was mystery there. I didn't suspect them. I was just kind of like, what are they hiding? And it didn't really interest me, but at the same time, I was like, maybe it could help to figure it out. And then Michelle Pfeiffer was just trying to get it on with somebody on that train, you know what I'm saying? She was just really trying to get it going. Willem Dafoe kept getting caught as like a liar, so I was just like, my suspicion was raising of him, but at the same time, I was just like, it's Willem Dafoe, you know what I mean? I was like, he's probably going to get killed, and then somebody else is going to be the killer. So I didn't suspect him either. So as the story unfolds, I was kind of like, who could it be? And I was leaning towards Michelle Pfeiffer, but at the same time, I was also leaning towards Olivia Colman, like the helper. I was kind of like, maybe she did it, but then she was by Judi Dench's side the whole time. So it was just kind of like Michelle Pfeiffer. Oh, and then there was also Josh Gad. And I was like, maybe they made it him. And so it was kind of like this whole juggle of things. And then throughout the story, you know what I'm saying? The mystery unfolds, you know what I'm talking about? They're stuck on the train. There's a murder. They have to figure out who it was. And then, I don't know, dude. Penelope Cruz, I was like, I didn't really see it. I didn't really see her being the killer. And then a couple of more things unfolded, and there was like the Count and the Countess, right? Like them being together and them like not coming out of their cabin or whatever, their spot, their room or whatever, and them being suspects. But then I was just kind of like, nah, everything was all connected, you know what I mean, to Johnny Depp's character's real identity. And the story just kept on unfolding, and it just kept on like, everybody had a motive, you know what I mean? Everybody was like somehow connected or interlocked in this story. And I was just like, maybe it's not just one killer, maybe it's multiple. So then I was just like, maybe that's what Daisy Ridley and Leslie Odom Jr. are like together in, right? Like it has to be them, you know what I'm saying? So eventually I landed on the two of them being the killer, like them being trying to kill him for whatever reason, I don't know. But I landed on them. And I was, kind of right. But, technically I was wrong. But anyways, watching it, the story continued to go and go and go. And eventually over time, you know what I'm saying? Hercule being the master detective that he is, you know what I mean? He solves it. And then I was really interested in the way that the story handles like the actual murder itself and Hercule's kind of stance on it. You know what I'm saying? I thought that was really interesting because, you know, okay, spoilers for the movie. I shouldn't have to say that. All right. All of these episodes of the Win Your podcast, all of them, whenever I'm talking about watching something, just know that I'm going to spoil it. All right. So, anyways, it turns out that all of the ensemble cast members in this movie are the killers, minus Hercule and his friend, the guy who was like leading the train. But everybody else, yeah, they're murderers. And they killed Johnny Depp because he killed somebody and he did something wrong. And like he deserved, you know what I mean? They deserved some justice, you know what I'm saying? But they landed on all of them killing him. Now, is it right? No. But is it their form of justice? Sure, you know what I mean? Who's to say, right? And so I particularly liked it. I don't know why I felt like multiple people stabbing him was like so nice, or like kind of like, oh, that must have been a good revenge, you know what I mean? All of them basically teaming up against him, right? Like I thought that was, I thought that was cool, but nevertheless, they did kill him. And I have to say, I don't think that if anybody went to jail, like if somebody like confessed to it, it would have been sad, but it wouldn't have been like terrible. You know what I mean? Obviously somebody has to pay for the crime, but we could just let it go, right? Nobody really has to go to jail. You know what I mean? Nobody really has to be caught. So, it is what it is. And I did enjoy the group aspect of it, right? I did enjoy everybody coming together to kill. I thought that was like a unique one. Never had a gang, never had like a group killing before. I thought that was fairly unique. And then I did also watch the original movie, the 1978 or 1974, my bad. 1974 version. I did watch that just to see the differences and how they portrayed the performances. And obviously, I think the 2017 version did it a lot better. I thought that there were a lot I thought that everybody did their performances a lot better, and they did a lot. I don't know. Maybe I'm just spouting nonsense, but I just felt like 2017 version was better. Maybe that's because that's what I'm used to, right? And also because I didn't watch the 1974 version first, I watched the 2017 version first, so I could nitpick, right? But I did like the style of the 1974 version, though. I did enjoy some of the shots were very nice, like the blue from, all of them stabbing him. I thought that was it was kind of creepy, but in like the depressing, murdery sense, which is what they do. They all murder him, but I thought they all did well on that. I didn't feel like Hercule's mustache was as refined or like as stylish as it is in the 2017 version. So I'm glad they made that a little more stand out to stand out as. What else is there? I feel like in the grand scheme of the murder mystery, where do I rank this? I feel like it was definitely unique. It was different. It had a great sense of it really told a personal story. And I thought that was nice. It was personal for all of the victims, for all of the members, you know what I mean? Not so much for Johnny Depp's character, but so much for everybody else that he affected, right? It's them getting revenge or them getting, you know, like a dirty justice because they couldn't get him the first time, right? So it's just a matter of like, how can we get him? You know, how can we for sure get him this time? And I liked that. I definitely enjoyed it. I also liked. I did like the setting. I did like it being on the train. I liked the them being snowed in. I'm a fan where they're able to keep the action or the story in one setting and still make it completely and still find a way to effortlessly make the one setting enjoyable, or you don't get tired of it essentially. And I never got bored of them being on the train. I never got bored of them being in one location. And I think I feel that way about most of the other ones. Like in Glass Onion, I didn't particularly mind them being on an island. But then again, they kind of got to go to different places around the house, so it felt more exciting. Whereas this was the train, but they were like in snow and there were train tracks, and it wasn't very. It shouldn't have been like a very pleasant setting, but it did work for me, and I did enjoy it. I did like the aspect that they're all stuck on the train together, and now they have to unfold the mystery. But as for I guess the real star of the show, Hercule. I mean, what an amazing performance by Kenneth Branagh. Branagh. I don't know if it's. You know what? Maybe I should just call him Kenneth. Kenneth, dude, you did your thing. I really enjoyed his performance, and I have seen the other ones. I have seen Death on the Nile, and I have seen I forget the name of the last one. It's called something. Haunting Venice. Yes, I did enjoy those movies as well, and I just feel like he brings so much personality to the character. I think he obviously has a lot to work with, and the writing kind of guides him to know himself or to understand who he is, right? Like, when you're dealing with like a character like Hercule, I think it's important to stick to what he knows, or stick to, he's kind of an already defined character, or somebody who knows who he is. We're not seeing him like transform or become a new person through the story, or through the mystery, I guess. Well, kind of, but not really. My point being is that, like, at the end of the story, he's still Hercule and he's still a great detective, and none of that really changes, I feel like maybe. Well, he does change, but yes, he changes, but because of the nature of this one. But anyways, I think that his character in particular is so unique and so interesting. And I feel that way with most smart characters or most detective characters, right? Like, it would be so fun to, pretend, have a secret, and then ask Sherlock Holmes to investigate and figure me out. You know what I mean? Or Hercule, or Daniel Craig's character in Glass Onion. I forget the name of his character. Benoit Blanc, right? Like, it would be fun to talk to them, or to get to know them, or to see them for outside of their stuff, you know what I'm saying? But anyways, Murder on the Orient Express. I had a good time watching it. I think that because it was so different from what I expected the first time around, because it wasn't an an easy one way, right? Like they make murder's a bad thing. Killing people is definitely bad, but because you understand the personal behind each one of their motives, behind everybody's everybody's disdain or hatred towards Johnny Depp in this movie, his character in this movie, you get the sense, you get the feeling that it's just like, ugh, you know what I mean? It's like you understand, you can empathize with them, and you can kind of see like they were, they were just trying to do what they felt he deserved, you know what I mean? They just were trying to get back at him. And on the one hand, I wouldn't do it myself, but on the other hand, I'm not gonna, you know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna be like, dang, we lost a good one, you know what I'm saying? I'm just gonna be like, he got what he got coming to him, you know what I mean? Like, it was gonna come to him either way, but they just sped up the process, you know what I'm saying? So really, it should be applauded. It should be applauded because they came together, you know what I'm saying? And it took like a whole movie for him to figure it out. So, I don't know. I thought it was, I really like this movie. And I'm a big fan of murder mysteries themselves. I can't think of an ensemble cast like this where it's like all of them together face a common, thing, right? Where all of them come together and do essentially a group killing. Except maybe Midsummer. I mean, that's more cultish stuff. But anyways, yeah, I'm talking more of like an organized hit, I can't think of it. But I think Murder on the Orient Express is a must-watch murder mystery movie. If you haven't watched it, I definitely shouldn't be listening to this, but I definitely would recommend it. You know what I'm saying? I think it's one of those movies where you think you know who it is and you put it on one person or two people, and then it turns out it's not what you expected, and it's somehow all of them, right? So, spoiler, my bad. But anyways, Murder on the Orient Express, I can't help but imagine, like, they really got, like, let's be real about this, okay? This is back in the day, okay? If Hercule wasn't on that train, and if the train didn't get, like, stopped there, like, they really would have gotten away with it. Like, you know what I mean? Nobody would really care. But it's because they got stopped there because of the snow, and Hercule was there to figure it all out. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was probably it was the unexpected circumstances that they all didn't account for. They really got messed up on that one, right? Like, they didn't have a chance. So, it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that they got caught, but they did get caught nonetheless. And one man is more dead than he was when he got on the train, right? But I thought it was I did think it was a good movie, and I enjoyed the group being a part of the a part of the murder, a part of the mystery of it all. You know, sometimes when they make it just one person the murderer, or they make like two people the murderers or whatever, it feels like you waste an ensemble cast, because it's like, oh, now they're all not a part of it. They're not, really involved, right? It's all been about these people, But in this movie, they make them all collectively a part of it, and they all collectively share personal feelings. So I did like that. I liked it a lot. So anyways, Murder on the Orient Express, good movie. Check it out if you get the chance. Shout out to the whole cast. They did their thing on this movie. They did their thing. So yeah, thank you guys so much for listening. I'll talk to you guys all next time. Thank you.